Hello and thanks for joining us at noon. I'm Mackailyn Johnson. After almost a year in Russian custody, American WNBA player Brittney Griner is free. We've got all the details on the swap the world is talking about. Plus, North Little Rock authorities take two into custody following the investigation into a suspicious death. And hospitalizations are up across the country. Doctors believe a triple-demic is to blame. What you need to know in 7 minutes. Celine Dion announces a string of canceled concerts. We'll tell you why, plus much more in our must-see entertainment headlines just ahead. But first, meteorologist Corrales Ortiz is here. Corrales, it's been a lot of the same the past couple of days. Rain, wet. Are we going to expect more of that?
Yeah, I know, Mackailyn, we're tired of hearing about the rain. It's like we're making up for what we didn't see a lot of the summer and during the fall season. It was very dry for us, but we've had a very long stretch of some rainy days this past week. We do have some changes in the forecast, but we're still tracking some showers. Here's a live look at our radar right now. They're widely scattered. We did see about some heavier showers that kind of moved through the metro about an hour ago or so. It's mainly going to be hit or miss throughout the day, a light mist on top of that as well. We're sitting under cloudy skies here in the metro, 56 calm winds. Temperatures are going to be on the rise throughout the afternoon. Here's a look at that day planner. We'll be in the low to mid 60s this afternoon with more bouts of some showers later into the evening. So I'll have a full check of your forecast coming up.
WNBA star Brittney Griner is on a plane on her way back to the U.S. after being detained in Russia for the last 9 months. The Biden administration negotiated a deal to bring Griner home in exchange for a convicted Russian arms dealer being held in the U.S. Deborah Alvarone has the details from the White House.
Sherelle Griner stood by the president this morning as he announced her wife, Brittney Griner, has been released from a Russian prison and is coming home.
Over the last 9 months, you all have been so privy to one of the darkest moments of my life. And so today I'm just standing here overwhelmed with emotions.
Just moments earlier, she and President Biden spoke with Brittney, who was released in the UAE as part of a prisoner swap.
I'm glad to be able to say that Brittney's in good spirits. She's relieved to finally be heading home.
Griner was arrested February 17th at a Moscow airport with less than a gram of cannabis oil and later sentenced to 9 years in prison. In exchange for Griner, the U.S. released Russian arms dealer Viktor Bout, who is serving a 25-year sentence for conspiring to kill Americans by selling weapons to terrorists. While the celebrations for Griner's release are just beginning, they are tempered by the fact that former Marine Paul Whelan, he was not part of this deal. He remains behind bars in Russia.
This was not a choice of which American to bring home. We brought home Trevor Reed when we had a chance early this year. Sadly, for totally illegitimate reasons, Russia is treating Paul's case differently than Brittney's.
Whelan's brother issued a statement expressing joy for Griner's family, but added, "How do you continue to survive day after day when you know that your government has failed twice to free you from a foreign prison? I can't imagine he retains any hope that a government will negotiate his freedom at this point."
We'll keep negotiating in good faith for Paul's release. I guarantee that. I say that to the family. I guarantee you.
Whelan has already served nearly 4 years in prison on espionage charges, which the U.S. calls false. Deborah Alvarone, CBS News, the White House.
CBS News learned last Thursday that the Griner for Bout swap was in the making, but agreed to a White House request to hold the reporting because officials expressed grave concern about the fragility of the then emerging deal. Now, the FBI's ongoing hunt for classified documents that were possibly removed from the White House by former President Donald Trump has uncovered at least 2 more documents from a storage facility in Florida. According to a U.S. official, the documents were marked classified and were inside a sealed box. The new discovery comes just months after federal agents confiscated more than 300 classified documents at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate.
Yet another instance in which Trump has failed to comply with lawful demands to return them.
A spokesperson for the former president says, quote, Trump and his counsel continue to be cooperative and transparent, despite what they say is another unprecedented, illegal, and unwarranted attack against him. Now here at home, 2 people have been arrested in connection with a suspicious death investigation in North Little Rock that authorities tell us has now been upgraded to a homicide. Rosikio Wright and Tiffany Mitchell Swan were arrested late last night after officials issued a warrant for Wright regarding his involvement of the death of a 31-year-old Nico Jones. North Little Rock police say Wright is being charged with capital murder, while 39-year-old Mitchell Swan is being held on tampering charges. The victim was killed after being hit by a vehicle near the 2000 block of Allen in November. And in another THV11 update, Little Rock police are now identifying a man who was found dead earlier this week. Officials say 18-year-old Jamarcus Gage was shot in the parking lot of a shopping center on West Markham just before 1 p.m. Tuesday afternoon. His body was found a short time later at the intersection of Markham Street and Chenal Parkway. There's still no word on possible suspects. Happening today, North Little Rock Mayor Terry Hartwick will be signing 2 new police contracts. This afternoon, the mayor will sign a contract with the North Little Rock Police Department Supervisors Association and a contract with the North Little Rock Fraternal Order of Police. Both contracts are negotiated every 2 years and are meant to show the city's focus on recruiting and retention in the Little Rock Police Department. Turning now to disturbing new trends in the health of Americans and the growing triple threat of illnesses putting millions at risk. Carter Evans is at a hospital in Santa Monica, California with the story.
This winter is being called the triple-demic, with COVID, influenza, and RSV already spreading earlier and hitting harder than previous seasons.
It appears that RSV may be plateauing a bit, but still seeing significant increases in influenza, and we've seen a bit of a bump in COVID recently as well.
We've been seeing some more influenza here, but I would say we are not really at the point where we expect to be eventually. I mean, we're anticipating that it's still going to get worse rather than we're being at the peak or being on the downhill side of the peak.
Nationwide, there have been at least 78,000 flu hospitalizations, according to the CDC. And over the last 7 days, there's an average of 25 hospitalizations per 100,000 people infected with RSV, and more than 4,000 COVID hospitalizations.
This is really something that we haven't seen in the past couple of years because of our masking and because of our social distancing and other policies that we've had and other practices that we've had that are somewhat going by the wayside, I think, as we've opened things back up.
Pharmacies across the nations are also being hit hard as well. With more cases of illnesses, this means a greater need for common flu or cold-like medicines.
It's a hit or miss. I'm not going to say this pharmacy can stock it better than this pharmacy, or we are better than anybody else, because the shortage is running nationwide.
Now to the latest local flu data from the health department. 45 Arkansans have died from the flu since early October, 15 just in the last week. Doctors say the flu is rapidly spreading across the state, so it's important to know what to look out for. Here's a look at symptoms for illnesses you could catch. Many are similar. However, to know it's the flu or COVID-19, all of these symptoms apply: fever, sore throat, cough, headache, or body aches, along with trouble breathing. Emergency Department Director at St. Vincent and Hot Springs, Dr. Josh Keithley, says flu is the #1 sickness he's seeing in the hospital right now. But there are ways you can manage your symptoms before getting admitted. There are also signs that, without a doubt, call for a trip to the emergency room.
You'll never feel well if you have a fever. So Tylenol and NSAIDs such as Motrin, ibuprofen, those go a long way to making you feel better. If you can't tolerate food and water because you're vomiting so much, that's a reason to go to the emergency department.
If you haven't gotten your flu shot yet, doctors say it's not too late. This current peak we're seeing could last anywhere from 3 more weeks to 2 months. One of your favorite tech companies is facing a new lawsuit. More on the case and the plaintiffs when the News at Noon returns. Corrales?
Well, Mackailyn, here's a live look right now across central Arkansas. This is near the Arkansas River there. And yeah, it's another wet day. You can see the roads are slick. We'll be seeing on and off showers for today. But are we going to finally see an end to the rain? We'll have the latest details on that. A sneak peek at the potential for some active weather next week. Maybe some colder temperatures as well. More on that coming up.